I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're talking to Arthur Edwards. He is the insightful author of an amazing book called The War We Almost Lost: How We Came Close to Losing World War II. This riveting book delves into the critical mistakes, near misses, and brilliant maneuvers that defined World War II, shedding light on how close we came to losing it all. Join us as we uncover the fascinating details of this historical thriller and the lessons it holds. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Authors Reputation Press for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Arthur, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
The prospect of losing World War II is absolutely frightening because the consequences and the repercussions are so great. If we had lost that war, the world would have paid an unknowable price. Why do you think we were so close to losing World War II?
Well, lack of knowledge. Plus, the fact is, we had very optimistic and positive responses and, shows and newspaper articles and books written about how easy it was to win World War II, when in fact it was much more problematic than many books like to talk about it. I thought it was time somebody put out a book that faced the facts. That was pretty touch and go for a while. And of course, the newspapers didn't want we public to know about it because it would have scared the living bejesus out of us. So we just went along with it at the time. But now it's time to look back on it so that we don't make the same mistakes again.
Can you give us an example or two of some of the critical mistakes and blunders that nearly cost us the war?
On our part, you mean, or on Japan's part?
On our part or Japan's part?
Um, well, the entire year of 1942, which was the first year of the war, almost everything we did was wrong, and nobody would let us know about it. We got lucky. I think lucky was the big word there on several of the big battles that turned in our favor, that with a little bit of Japanese competence, more competence in their top brass, they could have pushed us around and made us surrender and go their way with it. But first example, of course, is Pearl Harbor, which was a big mistake on Japan's part, because all it did was awaken a sleeping giant, as Admiral Yamamoto so accurately talked about, and woke us up from the America First people in our country who were against any defense of our nation. And we just were very fortunate that Japan, of course, they did sink 6 of our old World War I battleships in Pearl Harbor, and that was not good. That didn't kill us. And if they had kept on going eastward to the California coast, they could have very easily have destroyed our war-making capability here in California, which would have been very, very likely that we might just have surrendered or given up, or, thrown in the towel, so to speak, rather than try to fight with nothing, which is what we would have had left. So we were very fortunate, but mistakes on our part. We had, well, the really big one was the Battle of Guadalcanal, Savo Island, in August of 42, when our admiral, who incidentally was a Australian admiral in charge of the ships, made some big errors in not providing support for our ships. We spread out our cruisers in a very, very large area, and the Japanese, who came down the slot, as they did every night, were able to sink all four of our heavy cruisers, and there was nothing we could do about it. And that left open the auxiliary ships that were unloading troops, ammunition, food, on the island of Guadalcanal. They were just sitting there, sitting ducks. Actually, with those four cruisers gone, Japan could have wiped us out completely if the admiral had just, full speed ahead onto the unloading area, but instead he turned around and went home, which nobody knows why exactly, but we just really were lucky with that one, and there were several other times like that, especially that first year. Part of my book, I compare weapons between the Japan, Germany, and the United States, and we were deficient in almost every area, and open to being pushed around. And well, it wasn't until a year later that we were able to develop some modern things to fight with. But the real problem we had was and what's amazing about the real problem is, I'm going to talk about it, how similar it is till today.
Yeah.
In that we in America had the America First organization. I don't know, does that sound familiar to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going on right now. And it was terrible in those days. Charles Lindbergh, for example, Father Coughlin, a Catholic priest, they were all pitching that we should be on Germany's side if we ever went to war, and not on England's side. And even better, we should stay out of the war completely. And there were millions of people who bought into that in our country. And it made it very hard on President Roosevelt to get us ready for the war. And it was touch and go. If Japan had played their cards right, and I'm in part of my book is I explain, I pretend if we were the Japanese high command, how we should have pushed the war. We could have won it. We, being Japan, of course, could have won the war very easily by just recognizing the importance of the America First goings on in our country, and ignoring Pearl Harbor and the World War I battleships as they sunk. So anyway, I cover those things in quite detail in the book to show, in effect, how lucky we were. And I've kind of meant the book to be for freshmen in the four academies, Naval Academy, Air Force, Army, so forth, to train future generals and admirals as to, what not to do, and how things can get out of hand badly if you're not careful.
It's sage advice considering the situation we're in right now. It's like we have proxy wars in the Middle East, proxy war in Europe, and anything can happen. Like you said, unintended consequences can happen from these conflicts as well. He who does not learn from the past is condemned to repeat it, which is why this book is so important. The War We Almost Lost, How We Came Close to Losing World War II. It is a riveting book that delves into the critical mistakes and near misses, as well as the brilliant maneuvers that defined WW2. It's a great book. It's a great read. Arthur, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
My pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine, sir. I appreciate your time. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time. This time until next time. on Spotlight.